Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Sparkling Autos YouTube channel. So after recently using the Garage Therapy snow foam on something that was quite well protected and didn't have a lot of dirt on it, I've decided to test it at the other end of the scale today on my wife's car, which is practically no protection and is covered in quite a bit of road muck and grime. And I'm also going to test a few products I was sent a couple of months back by another local brand, Harpure Premium Auto Solutions. And I'll say the same thing to you, the viewers, as I said to the brand when they approached me, that I'll only agree to test the products if I can do it honestly. I'll give my honest feedback and honest opinion, and if this brand, like any other, is confident in their own products, that shouldn't be an issue for them. Well, long story short, the brand agreed with my position and sent me their full range of products to try, which is exactly what I'm going to do in this video. Now obviously, all of this is only my opinion, but stick around to the end of the video to get that opinion and see if these products are any good, or is this another pop-up brand that's worth avoiding. As you can see then, after a couple of weeks of driving about in the local wet, mucky roads, the car's in a bit of a state. So the first thing I'm going to do is give it a good pre-rinse and take off as much of this muck as we can before we go in with our pre-rinse products. First step then, to stop our hose catching on our tyres, is to place our detail guards on the corner of the wheels. The first step, as always, is to give the car a thorough pre-rinse. This will remove most of the surface dirt before you need to go anywhere near it with any cleaning chemicals. Now, I know some people who don't really see the point of the initial pre-rinse or certainly argue against spending so long doing it, but if you watch this video right through, you will see why it's important and exactly why I am so thorough when it comes to my pre-rinse. So even here, and as you can see, I'm quite methodically pre-rinsing the passenger door, I'm not just skimming over it lightly. It's still only taking that top layer off. There's quite a thick underlayer of grime and dirt that's just not going to remove with water pressure. So you're going to need some sort of chemical assistance. Same story at the rear end, just give a good thorough rinse, just be careful not to spray too much into your pipes. So we're back with the Garage Therapy 1 snow foam, and because of that thick layer of grease and grime on the doors, I've decided to go in with a much stronger solution than the last time. So I'm using it at 100ml in a total solution of 500ml. Now you'll notice here in the sped up footage that I still don't have the consistency just right with this product, but it's more to do with my settings on the lance than the product itself. Just need a bit more tweaking and a bit more trial and error, but we'll get there in the end. The main thing is, I'm getting the 5 to 6 minute dwell time that I'm looking for. Time to rinse the product off then, and even from this angle you can see the difference the product's made to that level of grime and dirt that wouldn't be shifted with the pre-rinse. But rather than be accused of giving a favourable review by holding the camera from a distance at an obtuse angle, we'll go in a bit closer and take a better look at it. Taking a much closer look then, as I rinse the rest of the snow foam away, you can see that it has removed pretty much everything that was there. I'd say a good 95+% anyway. To start with, there's tar spots there which obviously aren't going to be removed with a snow foam, and obviously if I was going to go in with a cotton pad swipe, you're going to pick up some dirt. This isn't some sort of magic product that's going to remove everything. There's no such thing as a contactless wash, as I've said before. But we'll go into the other door and take a look at it in real time, removing what the pre-rinse couldn't remove. Bearing in mind then just how thorough I was with the pre-rinse, it just shows how effective this is when you look at the 50-50 there between the part which I have already rinsed off and the part which I haven't, even despite the dodgy camera work. At the end of the day, reviewers like myself can only describe our own experiences with products, but I think sometimes visually the result speaks for themselves. But enough waffling about this, let's just set the camera down and get the rest of it rinsed off. So by popular demand then, Ivan's back on the scene in one of my videos. Once again with 10 to 15ml of Guardz 31 wheel shampoo and topped up to a litre with warm water. And also back in with the Guardz 30 wheel mitt, which is particularly effective on these gloss black wheels, because as anybody who's cleaned gloss black wheels knows, they're particularly prone to getting scratches with any sort of cleaning media. And these wheels in particular, they were actually just sprayed gloss black by the dealership when we bought the car, so we know it wasn't exactly a top job without being disrespectful to the dealers. But just to stay on point, I find this mitt absolutely perfect for doing the faces of these. Just always remember, before you put it into your bucket or go onto your next wheel to give it a clean, to give it a good thorough rinse out. You don't want to be transferring the contaminants you've just cleaned off one wheel onto the other. Again, particularly with the gloss back wheels, as you're going to risk scratching them. And then put Ivan's hat back on. For cleaning the wheel barrels then, if anybody's looking for a cheaper alternative to the wheel willies brushes, I got this from County Detailing Supplies. This is the Geon medium wheel brush. It's a microfiber end on it, it's very soft. Again, I've been using it on these wheels for almost a year now and it hasn't scratched them once. And on the rear wheels it's actually small enough to fit between the caliper and the wheel, so there's no need to move them around. And finally then clean the wheel nut welds with the Valid Pro soft detailing brush. Give the wheels a good rinse down, go and do the other three, and we're finally ready to move on to washing the car. So the first of the 4 Harpure products I'm trying out in this video is the Pure shampoo. The first thing to note about this product is it is extremely thick, as you can see here. So I'm measuring out 20ml to go into a 20 litre bucket, as the instructions say 10ml per 10 litres of warm water. And it does take quite a bit of mixing doing this method because, as I say, it is extremely thick. Now that's not a negative because a thick product is generally a well concentrated product. Granted, that's not always the case, but as you can see by the amount of suds being created here, it certainly is with this one. Although I did decide to give the giant sud explosion a bit of a miss this week. So mini by name but not by nature, and even at 6'1", there's no way I can reach the middle of the roof in this car without leaning against the bodywork, which I don't want to do, so I'll use my little step. Still using the giant Guardz 30 wash pad then, and I'm definitely getting more used to this as time goes on. And one thing I would say with it is it's definitely the sort of pad that's only really going to work with a really slick shampoo, which is exactly what this is. Although it's the first time it's on the channel, I've actually been using this shampoo for a couple of months now on a few occasions, and I must say I'm very impressed with it. It's a pleasant smell, produces a lot of suds, and it's really slick feeling on the paintwork. And yes, the most eagle-eyed among you will just have noticed the very confident one-handed pad flip. Never mind that though, what about the shampoo? I genuinely do really like using this one. As you can probably imagine with reviewers like myself, we have a lot of different shampoos on our shelves and lots of choice when it comes to what we're going to wash the car with. And I can honestly say that this is one of the 2 or 3 that I now go to on a regular basis to wash my own car. Another thing that's important to me, and I'm sure it's important to a lot of other people, is what the shampoo is like to rinse off the car. Now by that, I don't just mean how many bubbles are left lying on the ground when you're finished. It's more important to me that it doesn't leave a film on the car, which some products can do. This isn't one of them though. This rinsed off very well and left a very nice finish, certainly from my point of view. Now some of you may have actually noticed that I only used one bucket to wash the car on this occasion. Isn't something I'd normally do, but I just wanted to highlight the importance of a good pre-wash routine, particularly given how dirty this car was before it started. So first things first, remove the grit guard and then we'll just inspect the bubbles just so you see that even after washing the full car there's still nice thick creamy suds left in the bucket. In fact, they actually still look just as fresh as if the water had just been made up. And note how clean the water is as it poured out, despite the fact that there was only one bucket used with a grit guard and no rinsing of the pad in between panels. I think that says a lot about both the snow foam and the shampoo that we've used so far. So we'll quickly dry the car and then we'll move on to the next stage. Unlike the shampoo then, which I've used quite a few times before filming this video, the rest of this range, this is the first time I've actually used it. First of which is the exterior detailer. Now I had a problem straight away, which I'll come back to in a couple of minutes, mainly because it was as much user error as it was an issue with the product itself. In terms of application, it's pretty standard stuff, 2 to 3 sprays on a panel, wipe over it with a cloth and then buff it over either with a dry cloth or the other side of that cloth, whatever your preference is. And although it doesn't specify, I always like to prime one side of the cloth first of all, so that it doesn't soak up the product when you initially start wiping it. And you may notice the jet stream coming out of the bottle as I pull the trigger. This is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of user error / technical issue. And again, I'll come back to it in a couple of minutes. One thing I really do like about this product is it's like a back to basics detailer where you spray on and buff it off. There's nothing complicated, there's no issues removing it. It buffs off nicely and it does actually leave a really nice slick finish. So back to this jet stream business, and what I didn't realise at the time, purely because it's been that long since I actually seen a trigger bottle like this, is that the trigger has 2 different settings. There's a jet stream or a spray stream. Now I don't want to be overly critical, but this is something you generally only see on cheap household cleaning products, not something I would normally expect to find on detailed products. But once I did figure it out and changed it onto the correct spray pattern, as you can see, it just turns into a normal detailing product. But as for the product itself, as I've said, it's very easy to spread, very easy to buff off, leaves a nice slick finish, and as you can see here is good water behaviour. In terms of durability, I can't really answer that because I didn't test it, but it's not sold as a long-term sealant or a durable product. It's sold as a detailer and that's exactly what it's used as. In terms of gloss enhancement, I don't really know how you're supposed to measure that with your eyes on a white car, but I certainly think it looks nicer and it definitely feels nice to touch. So overall, how do I feel about the exterior detailer? Well, it is a good product, it's very pleasant to use and it does leave a nice finish. I still have reservations about those triggers, which I'll come to again a bit more when it comes to the glass cleaner. Product number 3 then is our glass cleaner. And what do you really expect in a glass cleaner? Well, the only thing that makes a glass cleaner bad in my opinion is one which doesn't really buff off and leaves a horrible smearing effect on the glass. This doesn't do that. Wipe it on, buffed it off, came off absolutely fine, left no marks. It doesn't have an overpowering aroma like some glass cleaners, and once you figure out the right trigger settings it's fine to use. But back to those triggers, and this is the second issue I have with them, this sort of free spinning action. Now this might not bother a lot of people, but the fact that there's absolutely no restriction in the rotation, and that it's a smooth, hard plastic trigger, it easily slips out of your finger if there's any moisture whatsoever on your hand. Meaning, you go to spray glass cleaner and you spray it all over the bonnet. Having said that, I don't want to be overly harsh on a brand purely because of a trigger, because at the end of the day, brands don't manufacture their own bottles or triggers. They buy what's available to them and what's within the budget of the brand. And I know from talking about the same issue with other brands that sometimes the triggers you want aren't necessarily available, particularly in today's global climate. But from a reviewing point of view, I have to talk about my own experience, and these triggers just do not do anything for me whatsoever. Triggers aside though, the glass cleaner itself is very good. I've absolutely no issues with it. Both it and the exterior detailer have impressed me so far, and I would have no issue whatsoever recommending them or the shampoo. So the final product I'm testing today then is the tire slick, and although there is the old saying of save the best to last, unfortunately that's not the case when it comes to this product. The smell initially when you open it, I have no other way to describe that smell other than it smells like you have a gas leak. And when you read the warnings on the back of the bottle, it's telling you don't let it touch your skin, if it does wash it off with water, don't breathe it in, it's flammable, there's various other toxic warning labels. And whilst I appreciate that those warnings are on there, and it's obviously a legal responsibility, it doesn't fill me with confidence when I'm coming to use the product. But we're here to test them, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So the instructions do say to apply it with a detailing brush or a pad, so I'm going with a sponge pad. And again, here comes the next problem. I was expecting some sort of thick gel, but when it wouldn't come out of the bottle I thought, well, maybe it's a bit thinner than I'm expecting, and all of a sudden it runs everywhere. To be honest, if the viscosity is that low, maybe a trigger would be a better option for this bottle as well. Although, given what's in it, I would say the trigger would probably need to be rinsed out thoroughly after each use. In terms of application, it actually spreads reasonably well, as you would expect, because it's a relatively thin product. Although, gloves, as you can imagine, certainly from reading the bottle, gloves are essential. Do not use this product if you're not wearing gloves. That would be my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice if you're applying this product is to do it outside. I really can't overemphasize just how strong the solvent smell is from this product. And I do feel like I'm being overly harsh here because I did enjoy the first three products so much, but I just did not get on with this one at all. Now if you're a fan of products like Meguiar's Endurance Tire Gel, this may actually be a viable alternative. It's certainly much quicker to apply, and you need gloves for both anyway. It's just not the type of finish that I prefer, and it's not the type of product I enjoyed using. Just to summarise everything we've used in this video then, so once again the Guardz Therapy 1 Snow Foam has done an excellent job as a pre-wash product. I'm still loving the wheel wash mitt, and I'm definitely warming a lot more to the large wash pad. As for the other products, well, in terms of the tire slick, I'm not going to harp on about that, excuse the pun. I've given my opinion on that product, and that's all it is, it's just my opinion. As for the rest of the range, well, the glass cleaner done a good job as a glass cleaner, I can't fault it at all. The exterior detailer I was more than pleasantly surprised with. It's very easy to use. As I said in the video, it's like a back to basics product. You wash your car, you spray on, wipe it off, no messing about, no nonsense. Done a very good job, and as you can see here, the car looks very good. And finally then the shampoo. Now as I've said, I've been using this shampoo for a couple of months now, and it's one of my go-to shampoos. I really enjoy using it. I find it to be particularly slick and sooty, and it's definitely one of my top 3 shampoos at the minute. That's pretty much all I have to say on that. If you've made it this far, which most people won't have, I appreciate you sticking with me, and if you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Obviously if you didn't like the video, then feel free to give it a thumbs down. And if you like the channel and you'd like to see more honest reviews like this, then please do subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care then, bye bye.